Hello and welcome to Expert Link and me, David Ford, and yet another wonderful conversation on co-production, one of our weekly conversations that we curate for everybody who wants to get involved in co-production, people who are doing co-production and want to share their wisdom or learn some more. And you know, at the end of the day, at the end of an hour of conversation, I think pretty much everybody walks away with one little nugget. And if that's the little nugget that improves your co-production, well, it's well worth it, isn't it? So we've been holding these series of conversations now. I think this is we're on our 7th or 8th. And by the way, if you want to join the conversations, follow the link below and sign up for our future events. So to curate this conversation this time, what we did is we set ourselves a couple of questions, or 3 questions to be fair. The first one was we asked ourselves what roles and responsibilities that we hold within our groups of co-production as individuals. And then we asked what other roles and responsibilities sit within the group, and importantly, to help our thinking to stretch us a little bit, what would happen if they weren't there? Good question. So we asked these questions and the conversation went along. And by the end of it, there was some sort of themes that came out, some of the regular ones about language and power and the such like, but 5 key parts to roles and responsibilities. The first one, which was really, really important, was about representation. And then actually, when we're doing co-production, that representation of voices is really, really important. But ultimately, what's the best part of representation is to have that self-representation or that advocacy. It's by far the best. But we recognise that this isn't always possible for whatever reasons to get voices into the room. It could be logistics, it could be about personal things. People maybe not feel confident enough, perhaps they're struggling with self-esteem. It could be a myriad of things. But if people can't be in the room and you're representing their voice, it's about recognising that actually representation is a skill or an art. It isn't just something that you do. There is a skill and an art to it. And 3 key points there are listening. So we're listening to what people are saying. We're taking all that on board. And then it's our messaging when we're in that room with co-production. So really critical, that listening and that messaging. But importantly, for that to happen, there has to be a level of trust with those that you're representing. The second theme was around leadership and recognising that actually within co-production it does need leadership. But in order to do that, we need to take a step back and think about what is good leadership. I mean, leading from the front, leading from the back, encouragement, all of those sort of things, all the qualities that a good leader has, and recognising what the parts of that we need within the group. And one of the key things as well was also about not handing over leadership to someone or giving it to someone or enforcing on someone. One of the best ways within co-production is to allow leaders to emerge. I know it's something that we do at Expert Link with groups around the country, is allow that those natural leaders to emerge, if you like. And I say natural because naturally, as human beings, some of us some are good at leading. I'm not saying I am, but some are good at leading. But also, naturally, lots of people don't want to lead. They're happy to have their input. They're happy to be listened to. They're happy to be heard, but they don't actually want to lead. That's a responsibility that they don't want. So recognising the skills of a leader and allowing the leaders to emerge is one of the key things for co-production, or one of the key roles within co-production leadership. The third thing was around accountability. And with it, this is a really, really important one, and there was quite a lot of debate about this. I think the first thing that we needed to, or the first thing that we pulled out from that, is recognising there are different levels of accountability and responsibility. Accountable to who? Responsible for what? And that's lots and lots of different levels. But what we did come down to is actually that when it comes down to accountability and responsibility, in order for a group to be effective, it's about, firstly, within the group, as individuals, we're accountable or responsible for what we say and our actions to the rest of the group. So if I say that I'm going to do something, I'm accountable or responsible for delivering that to the group. But there is also, at another level, a group accountability or group responsibility for the actions and the outputs of that group, where collectively everyone has a stake in that account or is part of that accountability and stake in that responsibility. So framing it as a group thing as well is really important. And one of the things around this, we talk about trust often. When we have a collective accountability or collective responsibility for our actions and our outputs, trust is there, because there has to be trust. Otherwise, people wouldn't collectively agree to be responsible or accountable. So you start to trust one another, and that really helps groups to bind and stay together, and really helps to produce really good co-production outputs or outcomes, if you like. So one of the other roles of responsibility is the enabler or facilitator, if you like. And the enabler and facilitator's role is really important because it's about holding the space that allows for the sharing of that knowledge and wisdom. And really good enablers and facilitators, they have, what came out was that they have a personality to be able to do that. But what we also said was that actually a lot of people who come into co-production are coming from a place of a space where or a place where they've not been that good. Perhaps they've suffered with some trauma, all sorts of different things, and so the self-esteem and confidence is low, and the belief in themselves is quite low. Actually, what we should be doing is nurturing those people and helping them and building their confidence, and let them as enablers and facilitators emerge into those roles, if you like, and flourish. And I guess that goes for all of those roles, for the leadership roles, as well. Allow people, work with people to nurture them so they grow and flourish to fulfill or fill those roles, if you like. There was another key thing about the enabling or the facilitating is remembering that normally we come along and we're enabling to have voices heard. And that's really, really important. But just as important is enabling people to listen and to hear. Some of us are really eloquent at speaking. Some people could come in with lived experience who are really good at putting their points across. But actually we need to facilitate or enable them to be able to hear other views and views that or other wisdom that might be contradictory to their own or challenge their own beliefs. So enabling the listening is absolutely key, but enabling the hearing and listening is too. So the final thing we talked about was fluidity. I'm using the fluidity word here, and it's about those emerging personalities, those emerging people, if you like, those emerging leaders and facilitators, where we like people to grow and flourish, and people have different wisdom and different experiences, and situations change, and the aim of co-production or what the group is trying to do might change too. So we have to recognise that actually that maybe we need some fluidity within the roles. But that fluidity can conflict with, sometimes we think that we need a strong leader, and often we do, and we need someone to take responsibility or accountability or those different roles. And actually, if those people aren't there and there isn't someone doing leading strongly, or that nothing happens. And that often could be true. But the important part of the fluidity is that person recognises who else is in the roles, or who else is in the room, or what else in the room, what's emerging, and who else could lead, if you like, or be accountable for different parts. And a way to imagine this, a really good way to imagine this, is imagine a space, and actually people can come in and out of that space. If that space being a role, so someone can come in and take the role or the space of the leader, and when their times have changed or someone else is emerging, they can hand over. The key thing here is not to drop the ball, isn't it? and make sure the space becomes a void, and making sure it's filled, and that transition over is a smooth transition too. But allowing that to happen is key for co-production, and allows the best person to fill that space at the relevant time. And talking of time, within that fluidity and the whole thing about co-production, what we do need to recognise is that co-production does take time. So we do need patience with all of this, guys. But it can and will work, and can work. So if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe, and hit the bell, the notifications button, so that you get notified every time we do one of these videos. Go to our website, link below, and you can see the vlogs and look at the previous videos. Sign up to our newsletter so you get up to date and know what's happening as it happens. But most importantly, please share. Please share the wisdom of this co-production. Help us to get the conversation going. And the more people talking about co-production, the more it'll happen, and the better world that we'll create, the world that we want to live in. Guys, that's enough for me for now. So until next time, love you all and stay safe. Don't give up.